Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're cutting through the complexity of fire safety compliance for Australian businesses.
Yeah, trying to reveal the real, often hidden costs.
Exactly. We're not just looking at the obvious stuff, the equipment expenses.
No, it's those unexpected financial traps, the ones that can really, hit your bottom line.
So, our mission today, really, is for you listening to understand the true financial commitment involved.
And maybe start seeing compliance less as just a cost and more like a strategic investment.
It really is.
Most businesses think, okay, equipment cost, done.
Right. Tick the box.
But we need to look beyond that. There's ongoing maintenance, administrative overhead.
And those sort of less obvious expenses that just add up enough.
They really do.
Okay, so why does it end up costing more than people budget for? Our source points to, well, the sheer complexity of the regulations.
Oh, absolutely. It's a big one. You've got national rules, state-specific laws, Australian standards.
All layered on top of each other.
Yeah, it's definitely more than just buying a fire extinguisher and sticking it on the wall.
So much more.
Think about it. The National Construction Code, the NCC, that sets the baseline for how buildings should be designed and built safely.
The minimum standard.
Yeah, right, but then you have Australian standards, like the big one, AS 1851.
That's the maintenance one.
Exactly. It dictates how all your fire safety systems need to be maintained. And importantly, this is becoming legally mandatory in more places, like NSW soon.
Ah,
And
okay.
then, on top of that, each state and territory has its own spin.
Like the annual fire safety statement in New South Wales?
Yep, or the AESMR in Victoria.
Yeah.
Queensland has this occupier state.
So if you're a national business...
It's a real patchwork. Creates a massive administrative headache and, honestly, a real potential for missing requirements.
Okay, let's zoom in on the NCC for a second. What are the core ideas there for fire safety?
Well, the NCC's main aim is protecting people and stopping fire spread. It uses things like fire resistance levels, FRLs. You see those ratings like 606E60 on walls and doors.
Right, I've seen those.
And compartmentation, which is basically designing buildings to contain a fire within a certain area.
Makes sense.
Plus, it covers the essential systems: fire detection, alarms, emergency lighting, exit signs for safe escape.
And water for firefighting, like hydrants and sprinklers?
Exactly. It's all split into different volumes depending on the building type, residential, commercial.
Got it. And AS 1851, the maintenance rule book you mentioned, how does that really hike up the costs?
Well, AS 1851 goes beyond just saying, keep it working. It lays out very specific schedules
Schedules for what?
for inspection, testing, preventative maintenance, even surveys for all your different fire systems.
So it's detailed.
Very. And this increased detail, plus the fact it's being legally mandated more often, well, it means businesses need to invest more time, more resources.
Into the regular maintenance itself and keeping track of it all.
Precisely. Meticulous record keeping is key. And it works alongside other standards, too, for things like extinguishers, alarms, sprinklers.
Right, okay. And you said the state rules can really throw a wrench in the works, especially for national companies.
Absolutely. It's this patchwork quilt idea again. New South Wales needs that annual fire safety statement, signed off by accredited people.
Okay.
Victoria has its annual Essential Safety Measures Report, the AESMR, tied to the building's occupancy permit. Queensland has the annual Occupier Statement.
Different names, different forms, different processes.
You got it. And even the states without those really prominent annual statements, like SA or WA, they still have their own enforcement methods, often referencing AS 1851 anyway.
So you really have to know the local rules wherever you operate.
Crucial. It's usually councils or fire authorities doing the enforcing.
Okay, one last piece of this regulatory puzzle seems to be how the building is actually used.
Yes, definitely. A factory is obviously different from an office block, which is different again from, say, a child care center.
Different risks.
Exactly. The NCC classifies buildings based on their use, class 1 through 10.
And if you change the use, like turn a warehouse into offices.
Ah, that's a big trigger. Changing the use, even for just a part of the building, can bring in a whole new, potentially much stricter set of fire safety requirements based on that new classification.
Leading to some nasty, unexpected upgrade costs.
Very easily.
Yeah.
Things you just hadn't budgeted for.
Right. So, okay, we've navigated the regulations. Let's really get into those hidden costs. What are the big ones that catch businesses out?
Well, the true cost of that AS 1851 maintenance is often underestimated. It's not just the service fee.
What else is there?
You've got establishing the baseline data for your systems initially. Then there are the big, less frequent but essential major services.
Like what?
Things like 5-year pressure tests for hydrants or replacing smoke alarms every 10 years, they creep up on you.
Okay.
Plus, the time spent on those really detailed inspections mandated by the standard, the rigorous record keeping.
And fixing anything they find wrong.
Yes. Defect rectification, that's often a separate cost. Then you have the ripple effect.
Ripple effect.
Yeah, like regulatory changes, NCC 2022 brought in updates. Building renovations can trigger major upgrades, especially in Victoria if it's over 50% of the building area.
Wow, okay.
And that change of use we just talked about, or even getting a fire safety order from the authorities, all can mean sudden, unbudgeted spending.
And the consequences of just not complying, it can't be just a fine, sure.
Well, it's much more than just a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
Yes, there are direct fines from councils and fire authorities. They can be pretty hefty in places like NSW, Victoria, Queensland, the ACT.
But the bigger risks?
Often lie with work health and safety laws. Failures there can lead to massive penalties, potentially millions, and even industrial manslaughter charges in the worst cases.
Serious stuff.
Plus civil liability if someone gets hurt because your systems weren't up to scratch.
And I guess insurance comes into play too.
Big time. Non-compliance can be grounds for your insurer to deny a claim after a fire.
Ouch.
Or just jack up your premiums. Non-disclosure is a big issue there too.
And then there's the operational impact?
Yeah, business interruption costs if you have a fire and can't operate. Reputational damage is huge too.
Nobody wants that headline.
Definitely not. And don't forget the simple administrative burden of managing it all, the paperwork. Plus emergency call-out fees if something breaks unexpectedly, and false alarm charges. Some fire services charge quite a bit for those.
Right, adds up quickly. So, given all this, what's the smart way, the proactive way, to manage these costs effectively?
It really comes down to being proactive.
Uh-huh.
Prioritize that regular maintenance strictly according to AS 1851. Don't skip it.
Okay.
Get independent fire safety audits done periodically just to get a fresh set of eyes.
Good idea.
Address any defects found promptly. Don't let them linger.
Yeah.
When you're choosing service providers, look beyond the price tag.
Check qualifications, like FPAS accreditation.
Yes. Verify competence. Make sure the quote covers everything you actually need. Read the agreement carefully.
And record keeping.
Implement efficient systems. Maybe a hybrid physical and digital approach, given the requirements. Budget properly. Specifically, set aside funds for those major service intervals down the line.
Don't forget the 10-year smoke alarm replacement cost.
Exactly. Understand your lease agreement, too. Who's responsible for what fire safety aspects?
Landlord or tenant? Yeah.
And finally, don't be afraid to seek expert advice from consultants or look into technology solutions that can help manage compliance.
Some really crucial insights there. Okay, so wrapping up. As you, the listener, consider these significant and often unseen financial risks tied to fire safety.
Maybe think, what's one immediate step you can take this week?
Yeah, what can you do to better understand and manage your own organization's obligations and those potential hidden costs?
Perhaps it's taking a closer look at your specific state's regulations.
Or maybe diving into the detailed maintenance requirements of AS 1851 that apply to your building.
Something concrete to start with.
Definitely food for thought. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.